Hello all the crazy people out there, my name is Michael, I like wizards and dragons and making games, and today we are going to continue adding systems related to conversations to this here game about wizards and other things. Last time we added Scribble to the game, and we were able to use that to do some text drawing effects and things that had been implemented in the past, and today I'm going to get started on first and foremost creating a little cutscene management system to keep track of chatterboxes that are currently running. We are going to do things like, I saw, where was it? Different game states, so that the game can keep track of whether or not we are playing or pausing or we have a cutscene happening or other things like that. So, the temptation here is to create like a new snow state. I really need to make the text size bigger. The temptation here is to create a new snow state in something like the game manager object, and that's going to keep track of playing, pausing, title screens, cutscenes, any other global game state. And you might dispatch things like, I don't know, different jar GUI events based on what the situation is. I'm not going to do that. That is, I think, considerably overkill for something like this. I did that in Wizarducks. I wish I didn't. It makes a lot of code more complicated instead of less complicated, which is usually why you would use something like Snow State. So instead, enum e game states. We're going to do this the old-fashioned way with a set of enumerated constants. We have playing, pause if you're in a menu, cutscene, and title. And theoretically, title and paused are the same thing. The title is a fancy pause screen. I'm going to separate them just in case. I might delete title later. And we can define a little active game state here. I am going to, because I don't feel like typing out obj_game.activeGameState equals whatever a bunch of times. We're just going to define a couple different macros for each of these. So is playing, is paused, is cutscene, and is title. This is going to be a matter of convenience to save on time typing. Alright, that is all our game state system is. That is all it needs to be. Please do not ask me to make it more complicated. We don't need any of the heavy-duty features that come with Snow State, like transitions or triggers or anything like that. This is going to be an exercise in understanding constraints and understanding when you don't need to over-engineer something. So, moving back to how you might initiate a cutscene. So, where is obj NPC? If I were to go up to you and talk to you, I think I can get rid of this right now, because this was just testing navigation. That was begin step, right? That was begin step. We can get rid of begin step here. When the player walks up to an NPC and clicks on them, that's going to have to make something happen. I don't believe we have code related to that right now. So if I go into player, in the player's, I'm gonna say the player's default state. So we handle jumping, we handle movement, we handle climbing, we handle casting. We can also handle NPC interactions, like this. And I have to scroll like way far down for this. What would be a good like thing to copy and paste to start with? So I'm gonna copy and paste handle casting, because we're gonna do some similar things there, and that is what I called it, right? Handle interactions, whatever. And here we're just going to do a little raycast from the player's position in the direction that you're looking, and if you find anything, then we'll do something. So, spell velocity, max spell range. We don't need velocity because this raycast is going to be instantaneous. This is going to be max interaction range. And it's going to be probably a lot less, let's say 100 or so. Because we don't want to be able to, maybe even less than that, maybe let's go 64, which is about 2 meters. We don't want to be able to talk to someone who's like way off on the other side of the map. Potential spell target, we don't need all this. A lot of this is pertaining to like making that spell symbol appear, which isn't really relevant here. Okay, we'll save a reference to the camera because I will be accessing it a million times. DX, DY, DZ, the motion vector, the ray that we're checking in. What is the wand target? Get camera target. Oh, that's for, like, since the origin of the wand is, like, we're looking over the player's shoulder, so the origin of the wand is, like, not centered on the player. I'm actually going to keep that, but I will rename it to camera target because that's a better name. I'm going to keep that because it would be a little bit weird to be able to talk to someone who's, like, slightly offset because of the way that the ray origin and the ray direction is going in. So we have hit info.this. This is going to collide with anything in the game world. I thought I, at some point, gave check ray, like, a maximum distance, but it looks like I didn't, so we'll just check that manually here. So if hit info.distance is less than or equal to max interaction range, we're going to look at what we hit, and then so when you cast a spell, if the player, like, knows the spell that object interacts with, they'll do a thing. When it comes to NPCs, they are going to have, and also other objects may have this as well, but I'm going to move up a level into entity because it is possible that, like you talk to a door and the door says, like, you need a key to open this door or something like that. Let's call it Chatterbox underscore file. That can be a string. What did I do? Alright, I changed it from an integer to a string, apparently. Chatterbox file can be an empty string. Chatterbox node can also be an empty string. And when you target someone, if obj dot chatterbox file is not equal to empty string and obj dot chatterbox node is not equal to empty string, then they will be a valid interaction target. I think showing some button prompt would probably be in order if you're just, like, looking at them. And then if input check the cast verb, we will want to configure our input verbs. Where is, like, there's too many like possible things that can refer to. Input configure verbs. I typed that and it didn't show up. Thanks, GameMaker. So we're gonna have up, down, left, right, action, back, cast, jump. I think action is an appropriate verb for this case. I was going to say something like talk, but action is just as well. We're gonna get rid of all that spell related stuff, and we're just gonna go and put the input check in here. And if we don't need any more of that because that too has to do with spell symbols. So we're just gonna go do a little bit of show message if a hit is detected. When we look at our NPC, we do need these fields to have something in it. I will erase those later once I see that this is working. So now if I walk up to an NPC, and this is my first time running the game today, so it's got to compile a bunch of shaders. Lovely. We can possibly have, okay, so that is the cast button. What is the action button? It is the E key, apparently. I should probably try to remember that because I feel like I'm going to mess that up a lot. And anyway, the point of all that is that we had some sort of interaction here, so that's great. It also occurs to me that NPCs should probably not be able to walk away if the player is, like, really close to them, so just so that they don't walk away while you're trying to talk to them, because I feel like that would be annoying to most people. We'll get to that later. I think I'm gonna go bugs and technical debt and whatnot. This isn't, like, immensely important. So we're just going to go and stick that card on the deck. I guess we can give that low priority, low effort, because that's probably only going to take a minute. And we'll come back to that eventually. So what we're going to do here is, I think, break this up into 2 different commits. Firstly, we have our different game states. Secondly, we have NPCs who, the player can detect when an NPC they're talking to is in front of them. So now we actually need something to happen when you do this, and to do that, I am going to go into back into the game controller object, wherever that is. Did I really open that many different things? So now we actually need this to do something. So I'm going to steal some more ideas from Wizarducks and the Lost Hat, as is often the case, and create a little cutscene object. So this is mostly just data, and it's going to keep track of things like the current NPC you're talking to and the current, like, line of dialogue on screen and that sort of thing. But it will do, later on, we will do a few things. I'm not going to make it as complicated as it is here and as I have it done in other games, but if later on I go and have an NPC who can, like, walk around of their own accord, we will probably want to have a, like, a step event and various things like that. We can see that here I am also using a snow state for this, which, again, is probably overkill for something like this. If I wrote this again from scratch, I probably wouldn't, but that's what we're going to be looking at here. So let me go and create myself a little object. We can call it obj_cutscene. This is going to be... I'm not going to make that visible. I will dispatch a draw event from the game controller as usual if necessary. And we can keep track of something such as current line. We can initialize that to an empty string. I will... probably most of the code that I'm going to write in obj_cutscene here by the end of the video, or within the next several videos, I'm just going to delete, because right now we're in the get something on screen phase, which is going to be wholly different in terms of requirements from the, like, actually make this work phase. Let's see, I want to go back to the player, I think, and then we can do a few things when you talk to someone, such as obj game.active game state is going to be game states.cutscene. We can say obj cutscene dot, what was it? Dot current line equals, I don't know, obj.chatterbox node. Right now that's just going to be dummy text. And we can go into draw GUI for obj_cutscene, and this is not going to draw on its own because it's not visible, so I can just tell it to run its draw GUI event from obj_game if necessary. Let's say draw rectangle. Let's just draw a rectangle in the middle of the screen. Window get width divided by 2. HH is window get height divided by 2. Draw a rectangle from, like, WW minus 200, HH minus 100, WW plus 200, HH plus 100. Outline only is false. Draw set color C_white. Set the color for black for when you're drawing text. Draw string. Draw text. Current line. And alright, this is going to look terrible, but it should get the point across. Let's go back to obj_game over here, and in our actual draw GUI event, we've got all this. We can also say if is cutscene with obj underscore cutscene event perform ev draw GUI. Is it ev? I guess it is. Let me just make sure that I have the right events in there. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be ev underscore draw for the first argument and ev underscore draw GUI for the second one. Okay. We also should probably make sure that this actually exists, because I don't believe it's going to currently, because I didn't create it yet. Where am I creating, like, all the other persistent objects? Nowhere, apparently. Let me just go up to the top and say, instance create depth 000 obj underscore cutscene. And now when I run the game, nothing should happen at first. But if I walk up to you and hit E, alright, so the game is now, like, stuck. I can't move. Oh, I can move because I haven't told the game to prohibit me from moving. Which is probably the next thing we should do. Cutscene object. You know, before I prohibit myself from moving, let's go back into obj cutscene and say, like, if... I guess I'll use the input for this. If input check action obj game dot active game state equals e game states dot playing. All right, again, not permanent code. This is make something happen on the screen code. Next, I am going to need to go into most of my actual game objects, which is going to be in the gameplay folder, 3D objects. We can also probably look at spells. We can probably look at pretty much everything in here, honestly. I'm going to open up another workspace, and I'm going to go... Alright, so much for that. Into begin step and say if not is playing, return. So we're just going to break out of the player's begin step if nothing is currently playing. I think... Alright, I'm going to do the same thing here. This might not be final, because this is going to possibly have some weird consequences when I try to have NPCs walk around during cutscenes, or the player walk around during cutscenes, but for now, the player is going to... you have a... you're open in this workspace too, are you? For now, the player is going to break out of their step event when we, when there's a cutscene happening. The NPCs are going to break out of their step event when there's a cutscene happening. Obj underscore entity. Really? Is this actually... Was that actually open, or is GameMaker just not opening things in this workspace? Let's see. So, which of the... Fine. Which of these... I'm trying to, like, defend workspaces as being occasionally useful, and now, like, they're all these things are suddenly open in this workspace, which is making them not open in the one that I want them to open in. But, so obj spell is going to break out of their step event. Which of these actually do anything? I think most of these, if not all of these, don't actually have their own step event. Yeah, none of those have their own step event, just the parent spell object. In that sense, they probably don't even need to be separate objects. They probably should all just be the same object, because none of them, like... The only thing that differentiates them is their sprite and their, like, their spell ID. Anyway, let's go in here. Rotors don't have anything that needs to break out of a step event. Generic 3D object. Anything that has a step event, which actually, now that I think about it, I don't think many things will, because the begin step object event for a lot of these is just calling the like the state update, and I don't think anything... Alright, obj underscore moving has some code for, like, moving. That's still... This is also, like, not final code, because that's gonna have to change when I actually build levels. And lastly, pickups. Do these do anything? Pickup card has its own step event. We can have you break out if we are not in gameplay mode. We also have this. Alright, so you guys do not have a state per se. You guys just have like regular game maker step event code. Okay. And I think that is all of the gameplay objects. So now the world will effectively freeze when I talk to you. Oh, you know what's going on there is I'm doing input check. This really should be input check pressed. And also when the player talks to someone, this also needs to be input check pressed, and we should also do input consume, input verb consume, action, just so that it won't continue to detect this verb until I press it again, until I take my finger off and press it again later. Alright, so the game, again, effectively freezes here. And we enter a basically a lock state because there's no way out of it. But the game is going to... Oh, wait a minute. There is a way out of it, isn't there? Because I could just do it again. That was a dumb assertion, wasn't it? Alright. So, nothing's happening here. I should probably also unlock the mouse cursor. And if I hit E again, it's gonna unlock. Gameplay doesn't happen when not in the playing state. So, how easy would that be? Are we using native mouse lock for this? Window mouse set locked. It does not appear that we're using. Oh, are we using input mouse lock? I forget what it's called. Input mouse capture. What's inputs? What's inputs method for locking the mouse cursor called again? Because I can't remember. Okay, it is input mouse capture set, apparently. So, when we go and talk to someone, we can do this. We can disable mouse capture. And when we unlock... Get rid of that workspace. When we unlock the player, go back to the playing state, we can set the mouse capture set back to true. I feel like people are going to argue with me about my assertion that we don't need transitions now, state transitions. That is not... Alright, so... we have mouse lock here. You're going to walk around. That's what I mean, where you should probably not be able to walk around if the player is really close. And when I do talk to you, my mouse is free. Okay. Alright, I might not make that a state, but... what I might do, like... is go back to obj game here and say set game state equals function, and then when you do this, the active game state can equal state, and then we can handle anything that I need here. If maybe we can do a switch even, case game state stop playing. We can do things like release the mouse cursor. Other states we can capture the mouse cursor. This is gonna save like a line of code at least here. But because you'll probably want to release the cursor when you, for example, hit escape to pause the game, we'll also have something like that here. And then going back to obj cutscene, obj game.set game state game state stop playing, And that is like marginally nicer than what we had before. All right. And this will also happen, like, not only, it will be possible to trigger a cutscene not only when the player talks to someone, like, clicks on an NPC, but also possibly if, like, you walk into a, like, a trigger zone to make something happen. There's a couple of possibilities for this. Let's see. Going back to the Codecks board, we have different game states. I think I can, click those and see that circle go around in a very satisfying manner. We can check this off because we do have all those. Create a cutscene management system. This is kind of what I'm doing now. This is not all gonna get done today, I think. What does... Oh, that was... I added Chatterbox last time, but I didn't add any details to the card, apparently. And I also didn't mark it as complete because I was not sure what else I was going to have to configure in there. Load Chatterboxes into the game. So, do I have any in this project yet? I think I've got, like, a test one. Nope, doesn't look like I do. So let me go create myself a folder. Words, and we can create ourselves a new Chatterbox here, and this is for someone else's project. I would like a new file. Yes, please. This can be just a test Chatterbox. I'm gonna want to export this as a yarn file too. It took me forever to find that folder. I really do have too many Game Maker projects in there. You know what? Start an empty text. That's good enough. So, we are going to, in obj_cutscenes create event, we're going to load in, what is it? Chatterbox load from file? I think it's Chatterbox load from file. There's a bit of a process here because you've got to, like, load them and then parse them separately. I'm looking at how I did it in Wizarducks. So we're going to say Chatterbox load from file, and that is going to be words/test.yarn. I guess I might as well just give that an alias name of, like, test without all those the other file path stuff. And then we can say Chatterbox create. And this is going to be from a file name. Oh no, I think it's actually going to be from the alias name, which in my case is just going to be text. Singleton text, I set that to true because I want lines to be read out one at a time. This is going to return a file. I'm going to start actually organizing my code a little bit now, so... I'm going to make a little struct called Chatterboxes, and then we can store... we can store a reference to all these Chatterboxes inside this struct here. And now, when I talk to someone, we will just look up a Chatterbox by name inside the struct in obj_cutscene. We will go to the node with the name of the node that we specified, which is going to be start for just setting up here, and then we're just going to fetch the text and put it on screen. And I think that'll be it for this video because I don't want this to be like an hour long. So when... I'm probably also going to want, instead of current line, active Chatterbox, initialize that to undefined, and I will also keep track of the speaker, so the NPC who you actually talk to when you do this. And now, we can, in addition to doing this, obj_cutscene dot active Chatterbox is going to be equal to obj_cutscene dot Chatterboxes, and the one that we're going to look up is going to be .chatterbox file, and we can then basically initialize this by saying Chatterbox jump from this active Chatterbox to the node title, which is going to be simply this. After that, and I'm referring back to basically how I do this in Wizarducks word for word right now. If Chatterbox get content count of the active Chatterbox, if this is like greater than 0. I'm not sure if this is a safety check I actually need, but I've written down to like make sure that you actually have content to fetch in the Wizarducks project. We can say obj cutscene dot, let's call it Chatterbox content equals Chatterbox get content that, and content index 0. I think if you're not in singleton mode in Chatterbox, you'll actually have to pay attention to like your line index, but I think in singleton mode you can just, it'll pause when like on each line, and you can go line by line. Let's see, this is just going to be a string, right? Yeah, that's going to be a string, and this is basically going to be a string that I can display in here instead of, actually I'll call that Chatterbox line. And that will be a string that we display in here in the text box, and that will be like whatever we get from the file. So let me create my NPC, and we're going to set your Chatterbox file in line to like test and start or something like that. Where's my NPC? So that's just going to be a little variable definition here. This will be something as usual that we read out of the Unity file whenever I get around to doing that. Chatterbox file can be test Chatterbox node can be start, and that should give me data. Feather was complaining about those. We got a crash is what we got. Feather was complaining about those because Feather has a bug where it doesn't recognize variable definitions defined in parent objects. Very annoying. Maybe someday it'll get fixed. But it looked like I'm calling the wrong something on something. If I run this in debug mode, set a breakpoint, are we going to be looking up like the right file name or anything, or are we going to end up with like a null reference? Because I feel like this is probably a null reference. Nope, that got a valid reference. If I let it run, what's it actually going to... Really? Did I just, like, not save? Was the change just, like, not saved the first time? So I was still, like, looking at garbage data or something like that? I guess so. I don't know why it crashed. I didn't do anything. I'm guessing that I just didn't save and that, like it was trying to look up an empty string, or it was trying to look up, like, whatever this not empty string was, and it wasn't finding anything, and it was crashing. Anyway, so one last thing. We will make this pretty next time, but I am going to say wrap this all in obj underscore cutscene dot play cutscene, and we're going to give it a just pass that to that function, to that method, and obj underscore cutscene is going to take care of all of this for us. Call the object that you pass in as a parameter to the speaker. So this will need to set the cutscene state. We can replace all references to obj cutscene with just ourselves, like this, and this obj over there is going to be that that speaker. Theoretically, it would make more sense to put the, like, validation in here. Which I guess I'll do. Just to rearrange this code a little bit. And then if, like, you call play cutscene on something that doesn't have any cutscene references, it just won't work. And I think that is, I think that's going to be all I want to do here. Let's see, run over up to this NPC, and it works. It does, by the way, say empty text and not... Why is it not working again? Oh, Alright, that camera pivot point is still not working right. Gonna want to probably fix that someday. Also, it's not centering the cursor. I feel like that's probably part of the problem, is it's not centering the cursor when I reinstate mouse lock. I'll write that down for later. I don't feel like dealing with that now. Alright. So, we got some done here. We can load and play cutscenes in quotes from a Chatterbox. Let's see, what did I say I wanted to do? I don't suppose I already wrote that down. Turn around the player's position rather than the camera. I might have noticed this before and decided I didn't want to deal with it, but it doesn't look like I did. Oh, well, one. Reinstate mouse lock. We already did that. Re-center the mouse cursor when reinstating mouse lock. That should take just like a very short amount of time, much like the other one, much like a lot of these things on this technical dev board. We're also going to have... Did I not save that? Guess I didn't. We're also going to have... Alright, you know what? I think the other one, now that I think about it, was probably more to do with this one that I already did write down, so I'm not going to add it a second time. Anyway. Let's see. This... I did half of that. So we'll come back to that next time. I did this. Load Chatterboxes into game. I didn't explicitly do this, but, like, this is what different Chatterbox files are going to be for, so I think I can mark that as finished. Add and configure Chatterbox. I'm still not going to mark this as finished because I don't know if I'm going to want to configure a lot of other stuff yet, so I'll give that a closer look later. And, alright, I think we have our work cut out for us. Not stated, but I do want to make this more pretty next time, because right now it's kind of an ugly, like, rectangle on screen. I will put probably a speech bubble, like, on top of the screen or on bottom of the screen. I think I'll go with the top of the screen for this game. Maybe I'll have it go top or bottom, depending on, like, what the camera angle is and whether the NPC itself is closer to the top of the screen or the bottom. I don't know. We'll have multiple lines. We'll have them scroll out. We'll have the lines draw using Scribble, that kind of thing. And we should have something that doesn't look like I just, like, duct taped a post-it note to the screen when you talk to an NPC. Interacting with an NPC will cause their cutscene to play. That's kind of what we did today. There's going to be more of that, so I'm not going to mark that as completed too. We should get a lot done next time, I think. There's a lot of stuff that's, like, half done now that should be finished next time. Anyway... my name is Michael. I like Wizards and Dragons and making games. If you want the code for this, look for the GitHub repository down in the description of this video. Look for the 0.50 release for stuff that we got done today. I do like to post videos on weird stuff you can do in Game Maker, so if any 3D stuff or shader stuff or anything of that nature appeals to you, feel free to subscribe. And then there is also this, which we do on occasion here. You should all go check out Wizarducks and the Lost Hat, which is one of the games that I like to work on when I'm not doing YouTube stuff. I am copying a lot of code out of there for this game. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute to the channel, links to that can be found in all the usual places. I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenjamin, Squarecrow, Spy Die Games, Pixelated Pope, Manta Ray, Game Maker, Game Art Indie, Edward Holt, DJ Gibbles, and Bokeh Dev for supporting these videos. If you want to contribute to the channel, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.